Thanks for jumping on the podcast today with me. We have joining us, if you wouldn't mind, we have Donnie Morrow, team leader, eXp Realty, Memphis, Tennessee. Donnie, give the folks a little bit more background on who you are and what you do.
Sure. And so I got into real estate just under 10 years ago, be 10 years here in just a couple months, and started my team in about 2015, I think it was. And since then, I've been one of the largest teams been the largest team in Memphis now for several years. So we've got close to 50 agents. Also own an EXP firm. So there's about 65 or 70 agents in the firm. And, also a national real estate coach helping other agents around the country grow their teams as well.
All right. So that's a heck of a progression. In the business, 10 years. All right, so you started the team 2015, so you've been a team leader for 8 years. Give me a little bit about the early start. When you came into real estate, what was your goal? Give me that part of your career.
Yeah, so when I first started in real estate, honestly, I planned on starting part-time. I had taken a big pay cut to become a police officer and left another career where I made great money, but I wasn't fulfilled. And I honestly went to my first broker and I was kind of like, can I make $1,500 a month part-time to pay my house note? He's like, sure. So I actually got my real estate license with no intention of being a full-time realtor. I just wanted to supplement my police officer pay, and then figured when I retired when I was 55, I would already have a side business to supplement my pension instead of having to try to start a new career at 55.
Okay. All right. So solo agent, you haven't been with EXP the whole time. So let's say one company, then how long were you with that company before you made a move to the next one?
So I've actually, maybe I'm crazy, but this is my fourth company. So I stayed at one for about 18 months, and then stayed at another one for a couple of years, and then another one for a couple of years. And now I've been at EXP for almost 2.5 years.
Almost 2.5 years. So let me ask you this. When you started out from going solo, did you intend, hey, I'm going to start it? What made you leap to starting a team from being solo?
Funny you say that. I think I always just adjusted my goals, which, by the way, Glenn Sanford says is one of the biggest mistakes people make, is not readjusting their goals when they meet them. And it's one thing that I just intuitively did. Like when I first started off that first year, I was with one of those companies like, oh, you're lucky to do 3 your first year. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden I had sold 5, and I'm like, well, maybe I'll do 10. And then I got 10. I was like, I might get 15 before my first year is up. And I think it was 16 my first calendar year.
Okay.
Right. So then I said, okay, well, what am I going to do for this whole year? And the goal was probably 20. Well, I just kept adjusting it up and I did 35. And then when I went full time, my goal was 70. And there wasn't a lot of rhyme and reason to how I was going to do that. Honestly, it was, well, if I just did 35 part time, surely I can do 70 full time. Right. Okay. So literally that's how I set my goal. And then I did 70, and I had no intention necessarily of starting a team, but where it went from there was, okay, now I don't have enough time in my schedule. How do I service more people or keep growing? The next logical answer is to get some help. I used to laugh, and there's like a lot of truth to it, that I literally grew when my wife complained about me not coming home enough. So it was almost like, hey, you're out working 2 jobs, showing houses too much. I'm like, fine, I'll quit the job. And then it's like, okay, you're not coming home very often. Okay, fine, I'll hire an assistant. And it's like, you're still not really ever coming home. Okay, fine, I'll hire a buyer's agent and start a team then. So literally that was almost a progression that I just kept resetting the goals.
The family priority kept saying, you need to get here.
Right.
Gotcha. All right, so my next question is, you have a team and a brokerage. Give me the breakdown. I think you did it quickly, but for us, again, recap. How many on your team? How many actually in the brokerage?
Yeah, so we don't have tons of solo agents. I think we're probably between 5 and 10 on solo agents. We have another large team in my brokerage, though. So, in the brokerage, there's like 45 or so agents on my team. Then there's another large team. So I have the largest team in the city, but then like the third or fourth largest team, maybe even second, is also in my brokerage in the city. So I have 2 of the top 5 teams, and then I have 5 or 10 solo agents as well.
Okay, wow, that's amazing. That is amazing. So this is interesting. It's a good question I want to ask you. A lot of team leaders at most other brokers, I know when I wasn't on a team myself, you would see, oh, such and such left my team. I'm really disappointed leaving the team and going solo. What's your take on that for your team? What's your vision if people say, Donnie, thank you, I'm going solo?
Yeah, so obviously we invest a lot of time and energy and loss of sleep and tears into our agents because we do care about them wanting to be successful. If it is right for them and they want to go solo, then I hope they stay at me at EXP, and I'll do everything in the world to help them. I would like nothing better than everybody on my team to go grow their own team, because that grows my EXP organization. At the same time, I don't like it, right? Like, it hurts because we invest a lot of people in them. Number one, it hurts us. Number two, it usually hurts them because 99% of the time, they don't make nearly as much money. They don't do nearly as well without the support of the team, and they don't realize that, and they don't know what they know until they go try it. And at the same time, if they're hugely successful, or if they walk into my office before they come on team and say, hey, I don't want to be your team, then I celebrate that, because I want to be able to create leaders. I interviewed an agent last week. He's like, I don't want to be on the team. I'm like, awesome. How can I help you grow your own team? How can I help you maximize your potential without being on my team?
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. And so what advice would you give to an agent, with the market having changed? You kind of hit on it. A lot of solo agents are kind of saying, what am I going to do? How am I going to, what advice would you give to a solo agent? And then I want you to extend that to some of these independent brokerages as well. Let's start with the solo agent.
Yeah, I mean, I think the advice is be realistic. Be realistic. Here's the deal. Here's what I know. Somewhere between 60 and 87% of the real estate agents aren't going to renew their license after the first 2 years. Right. They should have joined the team. Mm-hmm. Like, as simple as that. The numbers don't lie. Would you rather be on a team, or would you rather be out of business? If real estate was your dream and how you want to take care of your family, you should join a team. Right. That's always better than getting out of business. So I know that for 60 to 87% of the people out there, joining a team is a better option for them. They just don't realize it yet or want to admit it, right? There's no doubt about it. And then, of course, there's another percentage of those people who don't get out of the business, but also don't meet their goals or do very well. Right. So I think the number one thing for a solo agent is be realistic. If you need help, there's nothing wrong with going to need help. This is a hard business. Yes. And it doesn't make you a failure to adjust your plan. Just like I'm a coach, but guess what? I'm on the owner of that coaching company team, because I don't want to fly all over the country and grow a coaching business. Right. I'd rather take a small cut of the coaching so that it's something I can do that corresponds along with my business. I can have a vertical leg within my business to have multiple streams of income without having to take on a job that I can't handle.
Wow. That is a whole nother subject we could delve in deep into. I don't want to go there just yet. Let's talk about, again, the independent broker, the small independent broker, where things might have been good at one point. The market has changed, and it changed drastically and quickly. A lot of them are asking questions of themselves. What advice would you have for that independent broker that's looking around trying to figure out what to do?
So look at why they opened the brokerage, if it's worth it to keep the brokerage open, if owning their own brokerage is where they need to be. I know a lot of brokers, I think NAR says the average brokerage makes like 4% profit. So a lot of brokerages aren't making a lot of profit. And the other thing I know is a lot of good agents open a brokerage and then struggle because now, instead of being focused on being the amazing real estate agent that they have to spend a lot of energy on running a brokerage. And what I see a lot of times, people open brokerages and their sales goes down. They make way less money as a broker owner than they did on their own. I looked at opening my own brokerage, and I chose to come to you.
That was my next question. Did you intend to open your own brokerage?
Yeah, and I had my reasons for that we can get into, but you got to dig in and ask those questions whether or not you should be running your own brokerage, especially in a market that's going down if you have bills to pay.
Okay. And so let's go back to that question, not to get into your reasons why or you did or didn't. Is that part of the thing that led you to EXP? Just kind of tell me.
It is. So I was at a brokerage where I paid about $20,000 to sell 300 or 400 houses a year. My team paid about $300,000 total. And one of my mentors essentially said, what do you get for that 300 grand? And I said, well, let me see. My broker's my biggest competition. And I get like 2 small or 3 small offices. And other than that, I don't feel like I get anything. And it was a big name brokerage, but I don't believe the name of a brokerage gets you business. Right. Because I've been at multiple brokers and been highly successful and grown every time I switch. So obviously it wasn't the name doing it. Right. Right. And my mentor said, well, why don't you open your own brokerage and spend $100,000 doing that a year, and then put that other $200,000 in your pocket, or split it with your agents and give them better splits. And I said, man, that makes a lot of sense because I'm not getting anything here anyway.
Right.
But when I looked into opening my own brokerage, I didn't want to be in that situation, like I said, where my sales went down trying to open a brokerage. And I chose to go the route that I did because they take care of a lot of things for me that would be a time suck for me. In addition to the fact that while I could open a brokerage and probably grow a 7-figure asset that I could sell for myself, my agents would still be in the same position. By doing it the way I did it, my agents had the same opportunity that I have to grow something other than just their sales business.
Well, that's amazing. So it wasn't, you did it for not only for yourself, but you were thinking about your agents and the opportunities that came along for them.
Man, I did then, and I still do now, have single moms and dads on my team. And I always love my single moms and dads because they're usually the ones that don't have it the easiest, but they do very well because they're highly motivated to take care of their kids. Right. It always amazes me that it's not the ones that have the perfect scenario that do great. It's the ones that have a reason to go out there and make it happen that do great. And those were the people who I've always said and who I really thought about that, hey, this guy, when his kid, and I know a lot of their kids, right, by name. And I'm like, when this young man gets to be 18, I want his dad to be able to pay for his college.
Gotcha. And I'm sure you've heard it. These independent brokers say, well, I don't want to lose my identity. I don't want to give up my brand. Tell them, you yourself, tell us about that. Did you give up who you were?
Absolutely not. So I still have a team. I still have my own logo. In fact, I'm having a hard time getting people to recognize me that I take solo agents on the broker. I wish I could give up a little bit of my identity sometimes,
right.
Because I am known as the team guy, and I can't get enough of that brand off of me. That everybody understands that I only do team agents. I love that. I love being the team guy and helping agents, but I also don't want solo agents to be left out in the cold because they don't think I can help them.
Excellent. Okay, and so let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about you. I'm a agent in Memphis. I've had some success. Now I'm struggling. What would make me say, Donnie Morrow is the team for me? I want to join your team.
So people absolutely come to me for the mentorship. There's no doubt about it. I'm a big believer that you need somebody who has gone before you that has done it and can help you how to do it. And I've also built out a ton of infrastructure on my team. We have a director of talent development that is a former coach for multiple companies that does nothing but help our agents. We have a COO that is a successful agent that was a dual career successful agent that does nothing but help our agents and help our team. So to me, while we do provide the leads and all that stuff, also to me, it's all about the accountability and the mentorship. Everybody thinks, oh, I'm going to go on a team and I need all these leads. No, you don't. You need the accountability. You can go on YouTube and find out how to get leads. There's not a secret as to how to get leads. You need somebody to hold you accountable to work those leads.
Man, I mean, it sounds simple, but everybody wants leads. But who's checking on who? Somebody's got to mind the store.
Yeah.
And if you don't have anybody minding you, you could have all the leads you want and they're just sitting there.
My highest producers take the fewest leads.
Wow.
Which blows people away.
Tell me about that. We can't go too far.
My highest producers want to sell a lot of houses. I got one who's on pace to sell 60, 70 houses this year. And he also has 2 small kids and a third on the way. And his family time is really, really important to him. Well, how is he supposed to work 100 leads a month and then go sell 6 or 7 houses a month and have family time? He would much rather work 10 leads a month and sell 6 or 7. That way, all the time he would have spent on those other 90s, that's family time for him. On those other 9 leads, that's family time for him. So he's adamant that he doesn't want to churn any leads. He wants every lead to be valuable because he doesn't want to answer the phone any more than he has to waste his time because that's time away from his family.
Wow, that's amazing that you can kind of customize or tailor-make whatever their business goal is. You can tailor-make their business that way to help them still have the life they want and the business they want.
Absolutely, man. And that's what teams are about, is meeting them where they are and allowing them to be able to do that kind of stuff and sell that kind of business, but then save them so much time through not having to find their own leads, not having to pay for their own leads, saving them so much money, having TCs that help them. So that way that guy can go out and sell 60 or 70 houses, but he may be doing the equivalent amount of work that somebody else would be doing selling 20 houses because they're doing it all on their own.
Right, right. Okay, two more questions. Do you find that being a national real estate coach helps you bring people to the brokerage, or where does it play in? Is it a big asset, or how does it count? Tell me about it.
I think it does, but it's so hard to measure, right?
Right,
I
right.
think it sounds good, but how many people go, "Oh, I'm only going to join him because he's a coach"? I think people know that I make agents in my local market successful already,
Okay.
regardless of whether or not I was a coach. I think my local agents, like an agent walked into my office week before last or last week that I hired, and literally she said, "I wanted to join a team, and I already knew that if I was going to go on a team, this is the place to go." I don't know that that had anything to do with me being a national real estate coach or not. What I do think being the national real estate coach has helped with is it keeps me in the action, and I'm
Okay.
in the know and get value out of that I can then pass on to my agents when I mentor them.
It's important to keep your finger in the mix so that
Yeah,
you see real-time action, and now you can bring some of your wisdom to your agents.
absolutely.
And what the interest do you have outside of real estate?
I like to work on old cars and do jujitsu and hang out with my wife.
All right, so old cars. What's your favorite car?
Oh, wow. That's hard. I love them all. So I'm not like one of those guys that is like, oh, Fords stink and Chevys are good or vice versa. I just like cool cars.
What's your hottest car you have right now?
Ah, probably 2017 Corvette.
Okay. All right, final question. Let's have some fun with it. How often do those cop tactics or cop mentality kick into real estate, and does it help you?
Way more than you think. I
Okay.
always say that first responders, teachers, and bartenders do really good in real estate because they know how people are going to respond to what they say. So believe it or not, a lot of those skills are the same thing in all of those industries. You have to have a consultative approach. And in all
Right.
those industries, you have to be aware of what people are saying and be able to listen to understand and not listen to respond. And
Okay.
you've got to be able to respond in a way to elicit the reaction that you're looking for if possible.
Got it. Got it. And have you ever had to use jujitsu in terms of real estate?
I have not ever had to use jujitsu in terms of real estate. I did have somebody one time said if I used the C word, which was clutter, again on his house, that we were going to fight though.
Well, that's all I got for you, Coach Donnie. If someone wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Man, definitely by phone, probably text is best. The number is 901-409-5168. Call me or text me. Of course, you can find me on Facebook and all that.
Coach Donnie, I appreciate you jumping on. I can't wait to see you in person again. I guess that'll be when? May?
Man,
May?
probably May or sometime. I'm not sure, but
Okay.
not soon enough, man.
Got you. Got you. Thank you for jumping on. Take care.
All right. Have a good one. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.